What's the latest you're hearing out of San Francisco with their number 3 pick?
Well, Ryan, let's take you behind the scenes a little bit. And you mentioned Kyle Shanahan say we started out with one candidate in mind. And when the San Francisco 49ers traded up to number 3, the initial plan was that they were comfortable taking Alabama quarterback Mac Jones at number 3, but would have the chance over the next 4 and 5 weeks to do a deep dive into Justin Fields and Trey Lance. And that's exactly what this team has done. And as much as the 49ers love Mac Jones, and they do, I believe that the gap between Mac Jones and the other quarterbacks like Trey Lance has been narrowed considerably to the point where over the weekend, the organization was really going back and forth on all these quarterbacks and trying to decide what to do. And I know there are people who say, well, you don't trade up to number 3 and give up what the 49ers did without knowing who you will take. I can tell you over the weekend, they did not know who they were going to take. But I can also tell you that the initial plan was that they were good taking Mac Jones. And that was why they traded up to 3, because they were always comfortable going to that quarterback. But Trey Lance has been so impressive. He is considered the smartest quarterback in this draft, the smartest, and maybe ready to play a lot sooner than people think. And I think that's one of the reasons the 49ers are struggling with that decision. Now, I believe as of this morning, they have made that decision. I believe they come to a consensus here in the last 48 hours, the last 24 or so hours, to reach a decision. We don't know what that decision is, and we very well will not know what that decision is leading into the draft. But I think at this point they do know, and I think it was down to, in the end, those particular group of quarterbacks. Mac Jones was the favorite. Trey Lance narrowed the gap considerably, and we'll see what ultimately they settle in on.
Okay, that's huge news to think that they traded up for this a month ago, and as soon as recent as this weekend, they didn't know what they were going to do. So let's bring in Ryan Clark and Dan Orlovsky. So, all right, Dan, what should San Francisco do with the 3rd pick?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when Kyle Shanahan says he's got 5 guys in mind, I'm more of a Shake Shack person myself. They should take Mac Jones. They traded up to take Mac Jones. And my question would be, why not Mac Jones? Why not? Now, if someone's going to respond to me and say, well, because of the athleticism, I'm going to have an issue with that. Because first of all, again, you draft a quarterback different than you draft any other position in the NFL. It is about the mental, then the physical. It is about the skill, then the size. Second of all, being athletic, even in 2021, does not guarantee that you're going to be a great quarterback. And being an average athlete like Mac Jones is, even in 2021, doesn't mean you can't be a great quarterback. At the end of the day, it will always be about what do you do with the football at the right time. And Mac Jones does that better than anybody left after number 1 and number 2 in this selection. Now, Trey Lance. I want to talk about Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance will be the biggest flyer at the quarterback position in the history of the NFL draft. Okay, the quarterback spot is about repetition, reps and reps and reps, and getting reps to get better at it. In the last 15 years of the NFL draft, there has been one quarterback that has been selected in the first round of the NFL draft that's had under 500 reps at the quarterback spot in college football. That was Mark Sanchez. He had 487. Trey Lance has had 318 reps. 318. That would be the least amount in the last 40 years of the NFL draft for a quarterback in the first round. If they traded up to 3 for Trey Lance, that is taking a huge flyer at the quarterback spot.
RC, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I think the first thing I think about is we keep talking about trading up to 3 and having uncertainty. I'm kind of switching here and changing that. They traded up to 3 to not have Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. That was the reason. Let's finally get it out there. It wasn't that they knew for sure Mac Jones was their guy. It's that they knew Jimmy G was no longer their guy, and they had 3 quarterbacks there. And now, so you're thinking about Mac Jones, and, for the last few weeks, because I am a Jets Justin Fields guy, I've been saying, you know what, I think Justin Fields should go here. I don't think that this is Mac Jones' position. It's not because I don't think Mac Jones can play the position. He can play the position. He can process. He can progress. He can make the throws that he needs to make with accuracy, with touch, with velocity. He can do all those things. I think he can be a fine quarterback, and whoever plays quarterback in San Francisco is going to have a chance to be good. And so Mac Jones can be the guy that you take. But when you tell me that Mac Jones was your dude and now other quarterbacks have gotten better, how have they gotten better? Ain't nobody played no football games. You knew who they were in the football field and what the film said when you made the decision. So nobody's gotten better. You've just done a little more research. And I think in the end, it still falls on Mac Jones as the third pick, and he'll be just fine, even if not great.
Okay, so you think he'll be just fine. But, Dan, let me push back just a little bit here. Who do you think has the biggest upside among these quarterbacks, Dan? Because, look,
is this segment done?
We know these guys are good. We know all of them are top quality. But how do you see that part of it?
Yeah, I think the biggest upside is probably Justin Fields from Ohio State, and it doesn't even sound like he's in the conversation, so to speak. And I remember saying to RC this morning, it'll be really interesting when this comes out why Justin isn't. You know, I would love to hear that from San Francisco, and it's their decision. But I think he's got the greatest upside. Now, let me say this also, Ryan. While I believe that Justin has the greatest upside, I think Justin also has a little bit more of a variance of a miss, because there are some mechanical flaws in his game. I don't think there's as big a miss with Mac Jones as there could be with Justin or Trey Lance. Trey because, again, loads the lack of repetitions and a little bit of the unknown, and Justin because of some of the mechanical flaws. So while I think those guys have a chance to be potentially greater if you hit it the right time or the right spot than Mac, I don't think you're going to miss as much with Mac Jones.
Okay, it's all about risk. Go ahead, RC.
This is the thing, though. This is the thing, dog. Like when you move up to 3 and you make that move, it's like, you know what? This is the person of my dreams. This is it. I got one date. I got one opportunity. I got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.